Good morning, everyone. This morning we have Miss Chrisette Benjamin, the founder of the NGO I Believe I Can Succeed, as well as youth advocate of the Mayaro Youth Council, as Rio Claro Youth Council, sorry about that, and as well a writer in her free time, and as well active member of the guild. Okay, so Miss Chrisette, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so firstly, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Chrisette Benjamin. I'm 20 years of age and I'm originally from Rio Claro, but I currently reside in San Fernando, so I'm back and forth between Rio Claro and San Fernando. But I usually just put out that I am from Rio Claro because that's home. My leadership and youth advocacy titles ranges from being the founder and president of an NGO called the I Believe in Success Foundation, and this is an NGO incorporated to exercise volunteerism. And we do projects in relation to Sustainable Development Goal number 1, low poverty, and Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality education. And that is because the district has a lot of social problems in terms of high poverty rates as well as low educational attainment. Other than that, I currently serve as the vice chairperson of the Nuremberg District Youth Council, and my role entails ensuring that all the youth-led and youth-serving organizations in the district they have membership with the Trinidad Youth Council, and we are all on the same agenda of youth development and pushing youth development, creating opportunities for youth. Because what we realize is that there's a lot of opportunities that is lacking in the district. So that is some of the work we do there. At the UE, I serve currently as the event specialist under the Office of the Vice President on the UE Guild of Students, as well as I am a writer, as you rightfully said, I'm a writer for Caribbean Insight magazine, and I also do some writing externally in terms of helping organizations with proposal writing, letter writing, and stuff like that. So that is a general synopsis of me. Other than that, I usually get called by the media to be a youth advocate, and I advocate for the inclusion of youth in the national decision making, usually just a youth voice to be amplified. That is my cause, and I'm also a strong advocate for the implementation of the public procurement legislation, which has been promised but yet to be seen. So that's in general synopsis of me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving forward, right? So as you mentioned before, you grew up in Rio Claro, Rio Claro, right? And now you live in San Fernando. But how would you say that your background or whereas your environment in Mayaro, Rio Claro really shaped your thinking or outlook on the world?
Okay, that's a great question. So growing up in Rio Caro, it's a rural community, so automatically you have less opportunities than those that you would have as a young person who lives in a city. Like if you compare Rio Caro to San Fernando, the access to opportunities and the access to resources is completely different. And one thing I'd also mention is that Miaro, Rio Claro, that district actually falls under opposition territory. So automatically that you are neglected. The district is neglected in terms of access to infrastructure development and stuff like that. So we will we will always at a disadvantage. And I would say being at a disadvantage, I didn't really view it as a disadvantage, but I always seek opportunities on the outside as well as on the inside. So I would actually big up my secondary school, Rio Claro West Secondary, for pushing me to be a youth leader and a youth advocate because they realized that I had extreme talents that could have gone national. I didn't see it, but they always pushed me in terms of recommending me to participate in programs that might be held in Port of Spain. They would provide transport. For example, I represented the district at a Ministry of Education forum that they had where they wanted students' opinion on quality of education. And also, one of my teachers, my form teacher in Form 5, she saw an opportunity internationally internationally, where the U.S. Embassy was looking for youth to represent Trinidad and Tobago as a youth ambassador. And she encouraged me to sign up. And I was actually selected in 2017 as one of the six to represent the country at a 3 week leadership training series in the US. And when we came back to Trinidad, we had to execute a national project. And the project we executed was growing trees to grow mines. So I was one of the six, and that project was really amazing. So all these experiences that I had at my secondary school, as well as growing up in Rio Claro, knowing that we have such pressing social issues such as poverty and stuff, I always try to get involved in volunteerism activities and activism activities that address these issues. So that kind of inspired me to start my own NGO as I came out of secondary school to continue the work that I volunteered in school. And some of the work that I volunteered in school ranged from just simple things as hamper drives, Christmas drives, and as I started UE, I realized that well, one of my minor is social policy planning and development, and there I learned that handouts is not the best approach to address these issues. So I decided to use that knowledge and apply that to the NGO. So that is where I came up with us tutoring students who are disadvantaged and stuff like that. But even though the area is neglected in terms of access to resources and all these social issues, I saw it as a stepping stone to make a change and be the change, as well as I try my best to not stay within and just accept that we have lack of opportunities, but seek opportunities outside as well as try to bring them back at home. So it like I know I'm speaking a lot, but I just gotta explain this. With my NGO, I try to create a platform for other young people to have a voice, be showcased, as well as for them to develop leadership skills. So some of the projects that we have ongoing right now, I'm not the face of it and I'm not the team lead of it. I assign
Oh,
different team leaders and I coach them. So currently we have a flood project going on because the district is always plagued with flooding, and unfortunately Mafeking is going to flood this time. And we had a proactive flood project where we have care hampers as well as we have volunteers waiting to assist persons who was affected. So one of my team members is at the forefront of that. I kind of coach her through how you write the letter, how you approach calling these businesses, how you liaise with businesses to get donations, what is the steps you take in project planning and stuff like that. And also Saturday coming, we have a fundraiser coming up to purchase 7 tablets to students in need. And I had another person in charge of that, but she was already experienced in fundraising. So this would just propel her even more to develop her skills. So
wow, that's amazing. So when you think about, well, your work, well, your background, you would say that because of your insight into the area, growing up in an area that had a relatively high poverty rate, it kind of contributes to you wanting to be the change that you wanted to see while you were growing up,
yeah,
creating a domino effect.
yeah.
Okay, well thought of. Okay, moving forward. So it is also my understanding that you are also a student of UE at present. So tell me about how you balance all of these activities, youth advocacy, writing, being a pillar in the community. How do you balance that and UE studies and assignments?
Okay, so firstly, I one of my mantra is that I do not take on tasks that are not in alignment with my purpose. So if I take on tasks that I am my purpose, I'm going to have the drive to actually do it in a very timely manner. So what I try to do is plan my days. So I would know that okay, so from 10 to 11, I dedicate this to sending emails. From 12 to 1, I might take a break. I was always take breaks for myself because that is very important. But I make sure and plan my days accordingly. And the good thing about UE, most of my classes are like 5 to 8 or 5 to 7. So I have the morning period to do a whole lot, and then I have after 8 to probably attend meetings or finish typing up documents and stuff. At times it does get challenging because in particular this conversion to online education Yes, it serves as an advantage, but at the same time, it serves as a disadvantage because the type of learner I am, I really can't sit down behind a computer for 3 hours.
Active
So
learner.
at times I will attend the important part of the class and take a nap. I'm just being completely honest.
It's okay.
But but other than that, it hasn't been that difficult. And well, pertaining to this semester in particular, some classes I did actually miss. I missed in week 4 in particular. That was the heat of budget season. So I missed classes for that week, but I tried to catch up after. And the reason why I missed it is because I had a whole lot of interviews to do. But as I said, I catched up after.
Okay, that's good. Well, that seems like a task, but you're getting through with the tight schedule.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, who do you consider your greatest role models?
This is a good question. I have many role models, but if I had to choose one, it would definitely be my mom. So I consider myself a mini version of my mom because I not only look like her, but I have her views and passions as well. So she has this, but growing up, she had this organization called Foundation for Excellence, and she's also a teacher. So I guess that's where I got the inspiration in terms of tutoring students, but I don't want to be a teacher. But yeah, she always had and been implanting this in my head that you need to set the right foundation, especially as a child and in children as well, because as you mentor them, this would last to them for life. And I sort of observe her zeal in terms of planning different things. Like she would always be planning different initiatives, different things, and that kind of inspired me to take up that role and actually create an NGO at such a young age. And one thing I admire about her is that she never imposes her views or beliefs onto me, but instead she just guides, she would speak once, and just allow me to navigate the space for myself and offer guidance where needed as well as support in terms of she's my driver. So she support my initiatives. But I always admire how my mom would have a vision and actually execute. That's where my role model and aspirations and I think me as a person, I'm a carbon copy of my mom.
So would you say you are your mom's biggest fan or she is your biggest fan?
Yes, well, it's balanced. I have a younger sister, so she can't show by herself the time.
Yes, she, true. So, okay, well, that's nice. Moving forward, so you mentioned that you have an organization, the I Believe I Can Succeed organization, right? So, tell me a little bit about the organization and what motivated you particularly to get into the organization, etc.
Okay, so if I vividly remember, I had the thought of doing a project in terms of supporting students when I was in year 1, semester 1 of UE, and it was exam season. I remember this vividly because I was supposed to be studying, and I found myself, instead of writing notes, I found myself writing ideas. I just have this idea that I need to gather a few young people to do a project in Rio in terms of supporting STA students. Um, I didn't think about tutoring just yet. I just thought about having like care hampers to these students because some students are without proper hygienic stuff, which can be a setback to studying and dissuade them from even wanting to pay attention to anything academically. So I posted a WhatsApp status, and that is where I was able to gather between 10 to 15 young people. We created a group, and through discussions between December to January, there's where we came up with the name I Believe in Success. And we called it the I Believe in Success Education Project. And so we went. Um, we started getting donations from different people in the community. The individuals themselves, they donated a lot of stationery items, creams, roll-on, rags, different things like that, soup and stuff for the students. And we compiled it. And then I got in contact with the different schools. There's 13 schools in the area, in the district of Rio Claro and environs. So I went to each school, deliver the proposal, and let them know what we're doing. And at that point, we decided that we wanted to tutor as well. And each school I went to, they commended us for what we were doing. The mere fact that we want to support a student who is sometimes falling back, and sometimes teachers give up because you have this large amount of students to pay attention to. You can't always pay attention to one student. So that's why we adopted, quote unquote, adopted one student per primary school in the area. So we had 13 students that we basically took care of in terms of providing mentorship, tutoring, um, just being there for the students in terms of calling and making sure that they're okay and stuff like that. And then we decided that so we can't just tutor them. I had this really huge aspiration to have Rio Car's very first essay award ceremony. And I got that idea because even though the district, the title of the constituency is Miaru, um, and you have these oil and gas companies operating in Miaru, sometimes Rio Claro is neglected in terms of getting that support and donations and stuff like that. So Miaru would have a SC award ceremony and Rio Claro would not. And I did not like that idea because I knew that we had a lot of scholars and a lot of success stories in Rio Claro as well. So I decided that yes, let us have a SC award ceremony. Now, where are you going to get money to have an award ceremony? Because that's a lot of students. That is you need a
Out of
venue.
economic funds.
Yeah, you need refreshments, you need chairs, you need stuff like that. So I went to my member of parliament and he guided me accordingly. He was like, yeah, what you can access funds through Ministry of Community Development, but my organization was not registered at the time. So I worked with my aunt. She has a registered organization. We just ran the project through her organization to access the funds, as well as I must commend the business community as well. They supported a whole lot in terms of providing funds and stuff. So we were able to get in total about $12,000 to execute the project.
Wow, first project.
Yeah, we awarded in total 44 students. It was the well with the even though it was 13 primary schools, we actually tutored 7 because the rest of them already had classes going on Saturdays from their primary schools. So with those other students, they received the care hampers. But in terms of tutoring, we tutored 7 in total. So we awarded them regardless of what school they passed for because we are a success story. We also got each primary school to nominate one student who was the most improved, as well as we awarded the top 20 academic performances as well. So in total, 44 students was awarded. They received trophies as well as stationery items, books, erasers, stuff like that. And that when I realized that we actually got that project off the ground, I was like, yo, we could do anything. Like we could continue providing opportunities to persons, and then COVID happened, so it kind of canceled some of our plans. But the way how social media and the power of social media, we are actually able to have a much larger impact this year as we had SCA content published on our Facebook page. So that had a much larger reach and stuff like that. And then we decided to have the flood project to take a proactive approach, as well, we want to support students as well with devices. So we had a total of 200 orders of snack boxes, which would make us be able to purchase 7 tablets for students this year. So that is a synopsis of the approach with poverty and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that's some really amazing collaborative work there. All started from one idea during exams while stressed, turned into a large domino effect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's really good. Okay, so more continually, right? So tell me about exactly how is your organization during this period with the pandemic? How are they? What are the goals or etc. Or how are they changing their strategies or like it to because I know like you mentioned before, you all also do tutoring. So how has this changed?
Okay, so well, with COVID-19, we were actually about to be at the second to last tutoring session with the students. And then the library called me and was like, well, we're getting a word from Navis that we have to close the libraries. And then I realized that, yes,
Oh,
this pandemic is actually going to be a serious thing. So my team and I quickly adapted. One time it was like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get allocate. What we did is start over the entire syllabus one time, started over one time, and I got different volunteers because my organization has a total of 25 members. So different persons volunteered to do um, like documents or graphics in terms of explanations of the content. Like we say the topic might be subtraction or fractions, right? So the person would look at the syllabus, the standardized syllabus, and outline all the objectives and provide explanations in via graphic or Word document, as well as we went back to past papers, pulled out questions to that, and we put the questions and we broke down how to answer the questions as well. And we posted that to our Facebook page. And what I did was there are several groups on Facebook that had parents just wanting contacts and desperately wanted help for their students. So I shared it to that, and that caused the page to get a whole lot of attention. So prior to this, my Facebook page, the I Believe in Success Facebook page, probably only had 600 likes, and to date we have 1,980 something likes currently. So during that
hey,
period,
progress.
during that period, a lot of parents and persons started following the page just to see the content. So how we broke down, how we posted the content, because Monday was motivational Mondays. And what I did was I liaised with youth leaders with different youth students to submit a video encouraging students during these difficult times, not just SEA students, as well as students in general. So motivational Mondays with students submitting videos to encourage. Tuesdays was mathematical Tuesdays. No, terrific spelling Tuesdays, sorry. So we had spelling and grammar on Tuesdays. So we would post different words to spell. We would type up documents that had like errors, and you had to identify the error. And the last page would always have the answers. And we would post that on the page. Wednesdays was Creative Writing Wednesdays. So what we did was we always posted a sample of how the report or the short story would look. And we always posted a question as well. And what parents could have done was type out what their children's response, and we would have critiqued it. So I was responsible for that. So I had various submissions to go through and provide back feedback in terms of how they could strengthen the short story or the report. And on Thursdays was mathematical Thursdays, where you had the explanations, videos, and stuff like that. So we usually just use Facebook to post the content every week. And so it went, and a lot of parents keep sharing it and keep circulating. And yeah, people were really, really happy just to have that and just have persons explaining it. So yeah, we adapted by just getting everything online and just having a far greater reach because it wasn't just the 7 students. We was having actually this year we had 9. It wasn't just 9 students we were tutoring. It ended up being hundreds who access the content that is still available to this day. So we have content that we're going to use for the entire time we're going to continue on and stuff like that. Other than that, we use Zoom for meetings. Now, I'm a person, I don't believe, this is just my leadership style. I don't believe in having meetings every week. I don't necessarily find that relevant. And the structure of the organization is it would mainly be the executive who would have meetings very often if need be, and then general committee, when projects are going to come about, we'll have a Zoom meeting as well. Other than that, it will just be discussions on WhatsApp. And even before COVID, we were never the bunch to always have physical meetings because a lot of us were doing, and then some of us had academic commitments and stuff. So why would we sometimes call a meeting on WhatsApp on Sunday, and that has always been effective for us. So we have always been having technological meetings. It wasn't necessarily a big shift in terms of having to contribute to meetings online or anything. It was always like that. But I would say during this time, it gave us ideas to create some new projects because we never necessarily thought that we would have done a flood prevention and a flood education project. We just had the idea because, with flooding and during this time, and I've seen pictures this morning where persons homes were flooded. So you probably lost your job already. You're probably already getting a salary that
Added
isn't,
stress.
and now you're gonna lose your plans. That's why we decided that yeah, we need to have a proactive approach to addressing flooding. Sorry, and well, we collaborated with the Rio Clara Regional Corporation. So on Tuesday, we would be going out with them to distribute the care hampers as well as the other stuff that we have for the victims of flood.
Oh, okay, so it seems that the organization is now expanding. The
Yeah,
goals are becoming more diverse. It's not only
yeah,
limited to near Tituin again, it is now flood relief efforts and online and reaching a larger audience. So where do you see your organization in the next 5 to 10 years?
that is a really good question. Ideally, a lot of persons have been asking if I plan on expanding the work that we do outside of Rio Clara Miaro. And I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, that may be a possibility where we end up working with different rural communities. Because it's not just Rio Clara that faces poverty, there's other communities. So I would say there's a possibility that we can expand the work that we do to other rural communities. But I also see my organization in the next 5 to 10 years being one organization that is um, helping young people in the district, develop their leadership skills, being a hub for young people to practice and develop the skills that they didn't think that they have. Because I believe that once young people are given the platform to lead or make decisions, you would be surprised with the quality of work and the quality of ideas that they may come about with. So I'm trying to do this now at a micro level, but I want to do that at a macro level, giving young people, more and more young people, the space to just use their talents and use their leadership skills to make a change. Because, even the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service right now, they are heading down the direction of young people um, having an active role in volunteerism, having an active role in charging change. And I agree, you need to give people the platform to do so. But I'm not going to wait on a ministry to do that. We have the power and we have the legal entity and legal rights and the body to do that. So we want to give more young people that space to do so.
So you are becoming the change that everyone wants to see.
Something like that.
Good thought pattern. So the next 5 to 10 years, I could expect one in Labre, next one in Point Fortin, next one in Policy.
I would like to do so. Actually, I have connections to the Point Fortin area. So when I was in Form 1, I attended Vesely Secondary School. So I spent
Ah,
1 year in Vesely.
one
Even though I
year.
was even though I was living in Rio Clara, that's a whole story by itself. But yeah, I have connections with Point.
Okay, well, that's nice to hear. So, well, in closing, I would like to find out like how can if someone wants to get engaged, like if I want to volunteer or someone else wants to volunteer, how can we get involved? Who do we contact? And do you all have a contact number that we could take?
Okay, so as of right now, we have a contact number, but it's my phone we use for contact.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, we have the Facebook page where we have our PRO, who responds to all messages and all inquiries, and as well as we have an email address where we have the formal conversations happening, which is IBIS Foundation, IBIS Foundation 2020 at gmail.com. In terms of getting involved, so our constitution that we crafted is that annually we would take in seasonal volunteers or we would take in committee members, but membership should not cross 30. So currently we have 25, but the next time we'd be taking in volunteers would be December. So every December we'd have a screening process. And the reason being is that even though we have 25 right now, some persons may not be able to dedicate that time because some would be having, like, for example, currently the vice president, she would eventually have to resign because the next election will be held next year anyway, but she actually is pursuing a degree in medicine in Jamaica. so she wouldn't be here to dedicate that time. But she's here right now, thankfully, but not thankfully due to COVID. So yeah, so we do understand that some persons may not be able to be committed to the organization all the time. So every year, what we do is we have persons renew their membership if they would be able to still commit or not. But even if they aren't able to, we always have seasonal volunteers. Like I have many unofficial members of IBIS who aren't even youth. For example, there's this one worker in First Citizens Bank. She always contributes, always wants to get involved. So we have seasonal volunteers. They just don't have like the right to vote or stuff like that in elections that we might have, and they don't really have like that first-hand preference. But um, basically, that is what it is. And in terms of membership, my committee members, I always believe in giving credit where it's due. So every year I provide my members with certification that highlights the amount of volunteer hours, as well as I always write letters of recommendations, and I always send different opportunities for the members in my organization to represent or broaden their scope in terms of leadership and stuff like that. So
So the
basically, that's
organization will continue expanding.
yeah.
Okay, well, it was nice speaking to you. I really enjoyed the interview and I wish you all the success in your organization. Thank you.
Thank you very